Hello, hello, and welcome back to The Coco Show, hosted by myself, Colette Creighton, and my co-host, David Schwartz. This is a show where the banter at the top of the episode never ends, and neurodivergent or not, we are here to make you feel less alone about your human experience. We have no expectations, and neither should you.
You are listening to another fabulous episode of
The Coco Show. I am so pleased to announce that our mutual gal pal Bertha baby, or their government name, Sammy, is here with us today. We plan on chatting about drag, Judaism, and abandonment issues. And honestly, the world is our oyster, and three little ADHD girlies, who knows where we will land. Anyways, Sammy is an educator, drag performer, comedian, Jewess, and all-around badass bitch. And we are so excited to welcome them to the Coco Show. David met them at either Queer Bar or Supernova.
Supernova Green Room.
And I
at
met
the Hanukkah party, right?
Incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And I met them at a birthday party for my girlfriend, Brenna.
Small
Our
world.
girlfriend, Brenna. Shout out to Brenna.
Shout out to Brenna.
For this union.
Shout out to Brenna.
I can't speak for David, but Bertha and I immediately started making trauma-based jokes. And I knew I met a forever friend. So, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I feel like that's the best introduction I've ever gotten. Goddamn.
Love it.
Thank you.
Bertha and I did not bond over trauma initially. We bonded over her birthright trip. Yeah, I would love to find out how that all went. I don't think we actually ever really reconnected on that, but I gave you a few like tips and tricks from my time. And how was the trip?
Well, let me say, if we had talked after the trip, then we would have trauma bonded. Because
I bet.
It was something. It was amazing. I got to go to Tel Aviv Pride with a bunch of queers, which is like
that's so
insane.
sick.
Like a free trip to go to the only Pride crazy celebration in the Middle East and like the largest in Greater Asia. Like the opportunity to have that was incredible, and to see queer people in Israel and to talk to so many civilians of Israel about their thoughts on things like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it just gets such a greater view of like, what does Judaism mean for me and how do I interact with it? It was really, really cool. However, that was my experience. I was with a large group of people, and there were a couple of them that were fucking crazy. So it was ups and downs, as it should be, I think.
Yeah. Well, before we get too into the weeds, we do have to start off with our ye fucking ha's and hyper fixation. So, Coco dear, would you like to start us off?
Yes, I will. My ye fucking ha is, you guessed it, about the gym again. I'm on week 27 of consistent weight training. Ooh. And I've never
snaps for Coco.
I've never seen like muscle definition in my arms before, and it's just very exciting. And I just look at myself, and sometimes I just flex and I just go butch, and then I just move about my
I love it.
I like how you say butch very femme. That's great.
I'm just like so butch.
Yeah,
butch.
Same. I wore a tank top yesterday because the girls were looking too good not to show off. So
we love a good gun
we
show.
Love it.
Yeah.
And also, Dave and I had a great time last Friday.
We did. Indeed,
we got to go out, just the two of us. And so I wanted to throw that in the ring too. And then my hyperfixation of the week has been this new house playlist that I made called Audio Uppers. And
what?
Uppers.
Audio uppers.
Because you're just like,
Just going.
Just going. And I can't stop also listening to that new song Drench by Abo, I think is how you say.
That is a juicy one.
Oof. It's just such a little ear tickler because I just like what I like, and I'm glad I'm experimenting with my music taste and figuring out what I'm into, and it's cool finding things that like stimulate your brain.
Indeed.
You know? So ye fucking hot to music.
Hell yeah.
My ye fucking hot and hyperfixation are going to be one and the same this week, and that is the indictment of former president and shitball turd Donald Trump. I can get you the sample for that. Yeah, that is. It's a great day for America. I keep hearing people on the on the media and whatnot being like, "This is such a sad day for our country." I'm like, bullshit. This is literally one of the greatest achievements of the justice system in this country that I can remember in my entire lifetime, and it proves that, you know, nobody is above the law and equal justice under it. And God, like, it's just crazy that people haven't, you know, ditched him already. Like, he still has a ton of support, which is wild to me. And it's fading. Like, you have like common sense Republicans who are, you know, just saying the truth and being like, look, like, you can say whatever you want about this, but the facts are the facts. And like, they're right out here, and you can, you know, play whataboutism and say like Hillary Clinton's emails, blah, 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 which you can't compare. But either way, you know, it's a really important step towards, I think, healing in this country, because there's been so much pain that this person has caused. And it's about damn time that his obvious illegality has caught up with him. So I'm excited to watch this entire thing play out, and hopefully, you know, whatever happens, happens. And but let justice be served. That's my ye fucking ha and hyperfixation.
Ye fucking ha. All right, Sammy, you've got the floor.
Felt good.
Yeah. So my ye fucking ha is I got some new dresses that just came in the mail, and
Yay!
I, as a drag queen, I wear dresses when I'm in drag, but I've been exploring more of like, if I'm not putting on like the full regalia, like how comfortable am I in just expressing myself in a more femme way and having a dress on here or there. And I ended up going out this last Friday night, in this really cute sweatshirt dress that I felt amazing in. I felt like I looked good. I felt like it was showing off my legs. And right on the chest, it says, "Fuck you, you fucking fuck."
Oh, you snapped that.
Really is the mood.
That
of course. And it was all over. It was all over. It just felt really fucking amazing, especially like in Pride Month, to explore more transness and to celebrate more transness and queerness and let it be everything and nothing at the same time, because who gives a shit? Felt really, really good. And I think even just putting on my chest, "Fuck you, you fucking fuck," is like, no, it doesn't matter. I can dress how I want. I can express myself how I want, and nobody can put a candle to it.
I love that.
So that's my ye fucking ha. I felt very empowered by that. And my hyperfixation probably for the next 6 months will be Tears of the Kingdom, the new Zelda game. I can't put it down. It's a gigantic video game. I'm a huge video game nerd, and I just can't stop. I told all of my friends, because we all got it on release day, we cannot talk until I finish the story. I will not let you spoil the story for me. Once I'm done, then I will see you again. And I did finish the story. And now I still have like probably another 500 hours of game to put into it. It's huge.
Wow.
I'm so excited about it, and I can't put it down. I can't stop. It's all I want to do all the time.
I am also very still addicted to Harry Potter Legacy, and I just finished the story in that one, and I still have like half the game to go.
But it's the turf game. It's the turf game. I don't trust J.K. Rowling touching anything. I don't want her to get any of my money.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I feel like I could go on about that, because it's like, it's capitalism. I have no control over how much anybody makes at the end of the day, right?
True.
Yeah. Well, and then your ye fucking ha, the dresses.
Was the dresses?
Yes. Okay.
I feel super cute in all of my femininity.
Do you back to video games? Do you skip any of the like? Do you hit the triangle button to like make it talk faster, or like skip anything, or do you literally listen to every single word of the
every single word?
NPCs?
It depends. Like some of the side quest stuff, like I don't care about this random bitch over here. I'm just trying to get my extra costume. But like anything main story, especially for Zelda, because like Zelda is one of my hyperfixations from when I was 5 years old, and I never give up. And I want to know every last detail of lore that exists, and I want to watch videos about dissecting, like, oh, this was said in this one hidden thing when that implies here. Like I can go down so many deep rabbit holes.
That's so funny. I was literally waiting to say it's all about the lore. You can't. Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you people know the drill. To move energy, you gotta move your body. So we'll see you in a sec. And we're back. All right. So, last episode, we pulled from this Delve deck because, again, I'm a sucker for Instagram ads. And we really liked it. So, we're going to pull one card before we dive into questions. David, would you?
Ooh, I get to do the honors.
Do the honors.
Okay.
So, the
cards. Right here.
Okay, great.
What is the dumbest feature of the human body?
Oh, we've already pulled this one.
We did?
Yeah, we pulled this one in the last
Did we
episode.
really? I don't remember what I would have said.
I don't remember what
I don't remember what I would have said.
I mean, it has to be ball sack, right?
I was going to say something along those lines. I was like, I feel like the penis is high on that list. Like, it's pretty weird. Like,
it's weird, but like balls.
Balls, yeah, they are weird.
Balls are just hanging there, and they don't need to. Like,
they could be inside the body, and that would protect them better. But then the body would not be able to regulate the temperature of them so well.
Well, that sounds dumb. This is
that
dumb
is
body
dumb.
parts, right? So it's kind of dumb. Body can figure out something better rather than just like exposing one of the most sensitive parts of the body.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the fact that our like entire body is just like our entire spinal system is just like always in pain and needs constant like doing anything in life, standing, sitting, laying down for too long, like it literally will just like your bones and body will just like ache, and like there's nothing you can do except deal with like and try to stretch and do all these things to constantly like counteract the effect of gravity on your body. That's annoying. Like we have to like we evolved into this state. How is that possible?
This is literally exactly what you said in the last episode.
Is that what I said? That tracks.
And then
because I'm still mad about it.
And I said it was the nervous system.
The nervous system, very intelligent, actually. Think about how sick it is that you can, let's get this, right? You can breathe without being conscious of it. Like, that's sick. And, like, your body does all those things you're not conscious of. But then the second you become conscious of it, now it becomes difficult.
Well, no, I was talking.
And now I'm just going to be thinking about my breathing this entire episode.
I was thinking more in regards to like anxiety. And
also
then,
that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I'm in a constant state of a nervous system.
Coco, do you want to try and
let's
pick better than I did?
Let's do one more that isn't one that we've already done.
But I think we can all agree the balls are weird.
Yeah, balls are fucking weird.
Yeah, balls are really weird.
Somebody sent me a TikTok earlier today, and it was this plastic surgeon rated balls, like asked all of like a variety of people, and not anyone got a positive score. Everyone was in the negative. So no balls are attractive.
They are weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so strange. So strange.
We've done that one too.
Oh my God, pick one.
I'm sorry. Ooh. Who would you like to haunt as a ghost?
Who would I like to haunt as a ghost? Donald Trump.
That's fair.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty
good.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I would just sit in his prison cell and be like, loser, loser.
That's fair. That's fair.
Criminal defendant.
I think I would like to haunt all of my friends and family, not in like a spooky way, but I want to be around to just fuck with you guys. So you can be like, God damn it, Coco. I know that was you.
Yeah.
I just want to be a part. I just want to be a part of it, you know? I just like to be involved. I told Dan that I would drink his water on the nightstand to let him know that I'm still around. And I think what he would do if he was dead first is I would turn on the TV and it would be on SportsCenter. Even though clearly when I left it was on Bravo or TLC. So
cute.
That's what I think would happen.
How about you, Sammy?
Yeah.
Who would you like to haunt as a ghost?
The only person that's coming to mind is RuPaul, because I'd love to just whisper in her ear, like, you're a fucking capitalist who is like stealing the culture of queer people and exploiting it. And like, I understand RuPaul has done so much good to elevate and create a platform, but it's one platform and it all must go through her. And there's been a lot of talk and rhetoric recently of like, you know, we could not put all of these drag queens through emotional torture for the sake of a television show and still get great content.
That's fair.
And like pay them a living wage. That's something that's been on my mind a lot. Is like I would love if there was more opportunities than just this one opportunity to elevate this queer art so that people aren't exploited and people aren't chasing this one sunset in the distance.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and I'd love to just remind her, like, we see you. You cannot hide from us.
I think everyone loves like a championship title. You know, like if it's sport, if it's art, if it's something like people as a society and as a culture, they want some thing they can point to that says this is the definition of the best, right? So I think that's probably more to do with just like how much stock people have put into that over the last decade or so. And you know, obviously if you think about what RuPaul did in putting that on TV in the first place, I mean, definitely a pioneer and definitely has contributed significantly to the culture. But I'm with you. I think that maybe it's time to adjust and maybe it's time for other folks to step up. I think to your point, actually, 100%. Like there are other shows out there. Like I was watching one on, oh goodness, I can't remember the name. I think it was on HBO, but it's the one where like Bob the Drag Queen. We're Here. Phenomenal show. I think, you know, so I think that stuff is happening. I think people are.
It's starting to.
Yeah. And it's like, I think if we see other networks see the potential there and, you know, that will naturally, like, it really hasn't been that long if you really think about how long gay culture has been in the mainstream. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that more other opportunities to elevate that art form. Indeed.
Yeah. Well, and here's my pitch. I've had this idea for a long time.
Let's hear it.
They made drag queen Jersey Shore. You hire 7 drag queens, and they are going to live in a house together and put on a show in like Miami or.
I thought you didn't want trauma. That sounds like Trauma City right there.
But like the whole idea is like they are in charge of the show. Like it's a reality show, but they don't have these people whispering in their ears. They're just putting on a drag show. Everything happens naturally from there. Show. And I feel like then we're elevating local drag too. Of like these are just drag performers who are in the scene.
The real drag queens of Seattle. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. But then you make them live in a house together for a summer and like just see what the fuck happens. I think like that kind of shit. You know, like there's so many more markets that they could break drag into in the television space that like RuPaul, you got the money, you got the producers, put it on. If RuPaul's name's on it, everyone will watch it at the end of the day.
True.
I think you should go get Andy and a camera, and Bravo should pick that up.
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know why they wouldn't make it happen.
Listen, DM Daddy Andy. Maybe he's down to clown.
I will.
Do it. He responds to that shit.
Who's Andy?
Andy Cohen, like the daddy of Bravo.
Got it. Okay. I mean, I really only know him from the
Top Chef.
No, I was gonna say like
from
the New Year's thing debacle.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not the best homosexual.
Well, no, it's because your boyfriend's on CNN.
I do love Andy Cooper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Andy Cooper.
Anyway, let's get into the weeds, girls. Tell us about the birth of Bertha Baby.
Yeah. Okay. So Bertha was somebody that I kind of found that was already inside of me. And I think that that's true for most drag performers and most artists, is that there's something inside that needs a way out.
Yes.
And I found Bertha through desperation. I was in a really dark place at the time. I had spent all of my life as a part of this religious Christian cult, which a lot of people get confused about because I'm Jewish. My dad was Jewish. He was raised Jewish, and then he converted to Christianity. That's where he met my mom. And then he raised me and my brothers in this cult until I was 23 years old. It was really, really deep and intense. It was like they determined where I was 6 days a week. I had one day where I could determine something for myself. They determined where I would go to college. They determined who I was allowed to live with.
Where was this? Where were you based?
So it was in Seattle.
Wow.
It was in Seattle. And the way that this organization works, it's about 100,000 members worldwide. At its peak, it was about 130,000 members. Anytime a church gets too big, they would split it. So a part of that is we're going out, we are spreading seeds for the sake of Jesus Christ, but also it creates an isolation where you are desperate enough to be combining with these people on a soul level because they're the only people you're allowed to interact with, and you've got 7 options of friends. So you're going to have to figure out a way to connect with these people, right? And I had spent my whole life in this, and very anti-gay organization. And my parents were actually pretty high ranking in the organization. People knew my last name through my family. It was towards the time I was about 21, 22, I realized like, this is not a sustainable way for me to live my life. I am eventually going to leave, but I need an exit strategy. And there were 2 pieces of it. My family all started to leave because they had reached kind of their conclusion in a large conflict where they were like, we are not going to find sustainability in this any longer either. So it was like, okay, I've got the support of my family. I won't lose them, which was the fear. Is I was just going to lose like every last relationship, which I ended up losing every relationship except for my family. But at the same time, I was going to grad school. I was moving from Bellevue to Bellingham. And it felt like this opportunity. There was a church there, but I was like, what if I just kind of never show up? Like, what if I just slowly disappear? I do a little Irish exit. And that's essentially what I did. So I moved to Bellingham, and for the first time in my life, I have to build community outside of this church. I'd never had any experience in that. My experience in building community was always, I'm going to open up about every deep, dark thing that's ever happened in my life so that we can trauma bond, essentially. Which didn't work. Funny enough, people aren't always looking to trauma bond immediately. Although I've more recently, I mean, like right here, like, I think people as Jews, A, and B, adults who are ready to find deep connection are more open to that.
Yeah.
But when I was on a college campus, that was just not readily available. And people were kind of looking at me as like, who's this weirdo? I spent those first 3 or 4 months in essentially complete isolation. I didn't have relationships. I was living alone. And I got to a really, really deep, dark place. I didn't know what to do. And drag was something that had intrigued me for a while. Oh, good. I have ambulance coming in right next to me. Hopefully you guys can't
We
hear
actually can't hear it, so just
okay.
keep on trucking.
Oh, okay. Hallelujah. Yeah. Hallelujah. So I've been interested in drag. I've been performing my whole life. I was a musician. I got my master's degree, one of my master's degrees in music. And I was always fascinated by it. I thought it was a beautiful thing. I found out there's one drag show in Bellingham. So I went on Amazon. I got a wig. I found a dress at Goodwill. And I got a bunch of drugstore makeup. And I was like, I'll just try and see what happens. And I get to the drag show. And the first girl that goes up, she's the host of the show. And she's stunningly beautiful. She's so feminine. Her body is right. She's in this beautiful dress. And I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But then the second performer gets up there. And she's wearing a band t-shirt and a tutu. She immediately kicked off her heels and she didn't know any of her words. She just did like this for about 3.5 minutes. And I thought, I think I can do this. So I asked them if I could perform, and they let me perform 1 week. And they just said that I could come as much as I want, and it never stopped. And here we are 5.5 years later.
Amazing.
Yeah, it just kind of happened.
What was that first experience like? Like, describe that liberation for our listeners.
Yeah, there was something about it where I just felt like I was finding success in something where it's like I can get up on stage and people love me again. Like people are looking to me as if I have something to offer and that it's good, which I had been missing for so long. Because even when I was a part of this cult and I felt this sense of community, there was always this piece of like, but you're gay, and we know that you're gay. So there was always a caveat to that. But to be in a room where it just felt like I can just be, and it's enough. And I'm a perfectionist person. So like, I always was going to put a lot of work into whatever I was going to present to others. But for them to say, it's fine, try other stuff. You don't need to be a perfectionist. You can just try it out. There's a small town drag on a Sunday night. Like, it's really okay to just go up and have a good time, and we'll celebrate with you. It was a new kind of acceptance that I hadn't seen before. And it was a kind of an acceptance that changed my life and my outlook of like, wow, how many people are just looking for that person to look at them and say you're enough. Which is all that I ever try to put out there is whoever you are, just come, just be, and it will be okay. I don't want to hold any reservations for people just being, because who knows where they've come from, who knows what they need. And I might get to be that person who offers a little bit to that, and that might mean a lot.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the, Jewish identity plays a part in your drag identity as well. What was kind of the catalyst for that? And especially now knowing that you came from this really religious Christian background, when did Judaism come into your life and how did it make its way into your drag?
Yeah, so Judaism was something that I was always raised with around. It wasn't something that we were celebrating religiously so much, but like we were always celebrating holidays, and it was a part of just understanding our ethnic identity and our background. Oftentimes it was brought up Jesus was Jewish, so that didn't mean anything. But this idea of like, no, Jews can be a good thing too. So it was always there. But when I was formulating who Bertha was in my mind, it was this Jewish mother character. There's this archetype of the overbearing Jewish mother. But I always saw myself as a motherly figure for whoever I was going to be around and who I could take care of. So it just kind of all lined up together. I started doing, there was this performance I would do called my Jewish Mother Mix, which I took 2 songs from the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Do you guys know Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
I don't.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're going to love it. It's this musical comedy show. I believe it's still on Netflix. It was written by Rachel Bloom. And it's one of the best TV shows that's been produced in the last 10 years. I swear. 4 seasons. Every episode, there's original music in it that are all like parody songs they hit every single genre. And the main character is Jewish, and her mother comes in several times and has these big numbers. So the first song that she performs, she shows up and it's the cold open of the episode. She's visiting her daughter and she just won't shut up the entire time of, where's the bathroom? Oh my gosh, I can't find my comb. Oh, this place is a mess. Why are you not cleaning up? Didn't I send you a bath mat? Why don't you even have your bath mat? And just going on and on and on. And then the second number that I'd mix in was called Remember That We Suffered, which is a song to be sung at a bar mitzvah. Right? No, it's like, oh, it's so great to celebrate here. However, we must never forget. So that became one of my big numbers that I would do a lot. And everybody just kind of associated me with the Jewish mother character. But I also got to lean into this motherly character with it, which was really important for me because I became everybody's Jewish mother.
That's beautiful. I love that. Performers in general usually struggle with the idea of always having to be on. Do you feel the same way? And how do you protect yourself against burnout?
Oh, that's such a good question. Because I do often feel that way. And outside of my performance life, I feel like often I'm that on person for people. They need that positive person to just sit and listen and inspire and build up. And I want to be able to offer that to people because I know how necessary it is in the world.
Yeah.
But something that I struggle with is feeling like, okay, who's going to do that for me? And I think a lot of people who are that person struggle to find who that person's going to be for them. I've become okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I agree with what you're saying so wholeheartedly, and I do feel like you're definitely that person for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so special.
Yeah.
And it's important to have those people, right? Like, it's so ridiculously important to have that person who is just ready for you at all times. And it's rare. And I recognize that. And it's something that I talk about in therapy a lot. It's like, it wouldn't be fair for me to expect that I'm just going to find oodles of people like me. I'm a rare breed. And if I find that person, wonderful. I'm excited to have that. But a part of how I do get filled up is being able to care for somebody and being able to feel like this person sees me as a special person who has something to offer to them. So it's a difficult balance because oftentimes I do get that burnout of like, I've spent all this time taking care of others and I just need someone to ask if I'm all right. And while I'm carrying my weight, I'm carrying others' weight too. But I hope, and the thing that kind of keeps me going is this idea of at the end of my life, when I look back, I would regret if I thought there's times where I just turned people away when they needed someone. And I'm excited to be able to look back and say, wow, I got to be there for a lot of people. And even if they don't remember me, I know that I was that person for a day or a week or a month or whatever it was.
People don't forget that shit though.
True.
Like,
I hope so. I hope so.
People do not forget that shit.
They never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly.
And I remember
like
getting into like some uncomfortable situations later in life just because I always wanted to be like, there was always be the kid that people like pick on, but like I always tried to be really nice to that kid.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so important. And Oh, I lost my thought. Oh, it was a good one. It was a juicy one.
It'll come back.
What I was going to say. No, because we were going to talk about abandonment. And, I've faced some pretty severe abandonments multiple times throughout my life. And it's called into question for me of like, I did spend all of that time devoting to you. And you were no longer that, you just left. And the first time that happened was with this cult that I was leaving, of people that I'd sit with and cry with and support through some of the biggest traumas just completely disappeared from my life.
Yeah.
In ways that my family didn't even see, which I know is because I was gay. And it's hard because I look back on it and it's like, man, I wish I hadn't given so much because you hurt me so much. But at the same time, it's like, no, I'm glad that that's exactly what I did, that I just gave. I chose to give. That's a more beautiful world that I get to create. And if they can't appreciate it at the time, I'm sure looking back on it, they're going to remember me fondly. I'm just going to leave it be.
I don't think anyone could forget meeting you. Truly.
It's a really special thing to say. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, immediately I walked into that party and I went, you.
We did click like right away too. I haven't really seen you much since then. And I don't know if this is in your list of questions, but like your career has definitely taken off significantly. I know you're up to all sorts of stuff these days, especially obviously that cut video that a lot of people have seen.
Yeah.
How has how has your career changed since that moment specifically?
Oh my gosh, it's been so crazy how many people saw that. I mean, it's been like between the 3 platforms where it was posted, I've been seen like 8 million times, which is a crazy thought. Like I know, like that's an unsurmountable amount of views. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine 8 million, what that looks like. But I can also watch myself back and be like, this deserves to be viral. I recognize that I made some good content here. It's so funny and stupid. But since then, I mean, I just got to do a talk with Vox Media Group in New York.
Ooh,
I got booked to do a lecture for them. I got interviewed for a student at Brown University. They were doing their thesis was on Jewish performers and why they embrace their Jewish identity versus other religious identities.
Cool.
Yeah, and I've gotten the opportunity to become Seattle's Jewish drag queen, which thank God no one else was doing it. I did not have competition at the time. So it came to me and I showed up and it's worked. I always have my gigs now of like, I'm going to get booked by the JCC a couple times a year. I'm going to get booked for whatever, if it's a Hanukkah party or if it's for Purim. I am the Jewish drag queen. So if they want a drag queen that's Jewish, I'm the person they come to, which is the most special niche to get to fill because I work a full-time job. I work with kids all day and all the time. I'm exhausted. I can't just be going out to the bars and, doing these gigs all the time. I would love that to be my life, but it's just not where things are. But I do get to do these pretty big opportunities of like, no, I'm going to host a private event. I'm going to host this rabbi's birthday party.
That's cool.
Like whatever it is, all these things are coming up. It's really great.
Yes, Colette.
We need to hire Sammy for Russ's birthday party.
Ooh, that would be a kick-ass time. To be continued.
Okay,
Send me the deets.
Yeah. We'll talk. We'll talk. Have you seen any changes or growth in your own perspective or like the coping mechanisms that you use as a result of your work in drag?
Yeah, I have. Because I recognized that I needed armor. I think for a long time I had been trying to prove to myself that I was strong enough to do it without coping mechanisms. And I think that that's kind of a mentality that's coming up with, our generation and younger. There's this expectation of like, prove how strong you are. And if you're not strong enough, then, I would say the younger generation, they're doing a better job of being honest about what their needs are. And okay, I recognize that I'm neurodivergent, or I recognize that I struggle with this mental illness and I'm going to need to use these strategies. I'm going to use stimming, or I'm going to, whatever it is along the way. But for me, for so long, I had this really deep insecurity because I was constantly being invalidated growing up in my identity. I was constantly trying to prove to people that even though I'm gay, I'm still enough. And in drag, it's like I put on all of this armor. I put on a completely different skin, essentially, and people don't see Sammy anymore. So then whatever I'm putting out as Bertha is going to be more than enough. And I can say whatever I want and nobody can hold a candle to it because I'm too beautiful. I'm too fierce. Like there's just nothing there. And what I recognized is, I love being vulnerable with people. And that is not always safe. That's not always going to be comfortable with every single person. I can't do that. But what I can do is I can feel like I have armor on. And there's a lot of different ways to put that up to protect myself and still show vulnerability. And understanding where those lines get drawn, because in drag, there's essentially no lines and you have full armor. So if I peel away some of that armor, what can I still show while protecting myself? Where can I speak for myself? You know, even Friday night, normally if I'm out in drag and somebody comes up and tries to touch me, I'm ready to punch him in the nose. It's like, no, I'm going to yell in your face. Don't you fucking dare. But Friday night, I wore this amazing dress and I felt so cute. And I was walking home and I stopped at a taco stand and some guy just came up and tried to grab me. And suddenly it's like, I still feel much more vulnerable. I'm not ready to just fight for myself. I know how to protect myself in that place, but it's a different layer of armor. And there's different layers to how you protect yourself that I have continued to learn. Because it's hard. It's hard to know how to protect yourself emotionally, physically. And drag is the ultimate armor at the end of the day. Every time I see somebody get in drag for the first time, seeing them filled with power is one of the most beautiful feelings in the world, especially because that power was always there. They just feel like they can use whatever power was already inside them.
I feel that way a lot about DJing too, and how I've seen it just like you say, the first time someone puts on drag, or like when I've seen like the first time they're really truly like in the zone and they're performing, the way this person that was there all along that's been dying to express themselves can just freely do so. It is an incredibly powerful and moving thing to witness, and to see that transformation just in what seems like an instance. It's not really an instance, but it's like suddenly they're able to tap into a part of themselves that they didn't know how to reach, but they always wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I think it's beautiful because most people see that in themselves. They see that beauty in that light. It's just, how do I access it? And it's so great to be like, oh, I finally got there.
Well, it's interesting that people feel that these exterior things allow them to tap into the interior. And it's interesting how you called it like putting on armor too. And I definitely feel that like when I am getting dressed up for a show, and, you know, I'm not in full drag necessarily, but sometimes I'll throw on like a crop top or a bodysuit or something that makes me feel really femme, and like, same feeling. I'm like ready for battle, and I know that I feel really empowered, you know, being in the booth too, but like it's a combination of the outfit and the music and the whole performance that just makes me feel completely unstoppable.
Yeah.
Well,
and you're becoming a superhero, right? It's
absolutely.
The same thing as if a superhero puts on their cape. It's, no, I'm becoming that superhuman where people only see me through this lens. They're seeing me as this person that is above and more powerful and more incredible. But I think the beauty in it is recognizing that everybody has that power. It's just, what are they letting people see? So if I'm Sammy and I'm going to be more vulnerable, I'm going to let people see that. They're not going to see me as the same person that they see Bertha to be, when they only see the beautiful sides of Bertha that I put out there. They don't see me when I mess up my eyes, you know, like they're not going to see me with fucked up eyebrow or something like that. They're only going to see me when I'm just perfect. You know, that's not a perfect portrayal of the human experience, but sometimes you need those moments to empower yourself to make mistakes.
Yeah. What do you hope audiences take away from your performances beyond just entertainment?
You know, I always say that the point of my drag is to promote joy, to create more joy in the world. That's all I want to do. I just want to make people happy and give them that moment of relief from the challenges of the world. But in that, drag is an incredibly political thing. And, you know, anytime anybody puts on a dress, it's a big fucking deal. I truly believe that, especially now, right? And my biggest hope is that people can just see the joy that comes in being able to express yourself freely, because there's a true joy to it. It's just joy. It creates power. It makes you feel safe. It allows you to connect with people on a deeper level. I want everybody to be able to play dress up. I watch kids play dress up all the time. How many times are they going to dress up as a dinosaur or a princess? They're allowed to do both. And why do we stop that as adults? But we don't, even, because we do it on Halloween, and we do it if we're going to a theme party, right? There's so many examples of that. And I think it's really important that we have that freedom. And I hope that I can just instill in everybody, there's no reason that you shouldn't feel free to express yourself however the fuck you want. And yeah, somebody's going to say something, but it doesn't matter, because it's better to have fun and let somebody say something than hold yourself back from ever trying.
It is interesting to your point. Like, at what point does shame enter the equation? Because as kids,
Yeah.
we do these things and we express ourselves so freely in so many ways. And then all of a sudden, as these social structures get put in place in, late middle school, high school, and you start becoming so hyper aware of how others perceive you, that's when, that kind of little voice in your head that goes like, oh wait, don't do that, like people are gonna think you're weird.
Yeah.
That's when that starts to creep in a little, because I so vividly like remember as a kid turning on music in my parents' house when no one was home, like blasting it at the top and like running around the house and doing jumps and plies and like pretending I was like honestly a ballerina, like just like jumping and jamming around the house. And it wasn't until later in life, because no one was there in the room to tell me it was weird or like that it wasn't normal. I don't know. Hopefully people do that. It's hella fun. Go turn on some loud music and do some plies, okay? You'll love yourself for it. But it is interesting that all of a sudden one day you just get this awareness to that. And now I feel like as an adult and through my career and work, I've always wanted to honor that kid just running around my parents' house, jumping off the couches and spinning in circles. Like, because I know that at the core of who I am and what made me who I am was that little kid that just like to jump and dance and sing, even if he wasn't the best at it. Like,
absolutely.
Right. Well, and so many of these social structures, I'm so excited to see how they're breaking down. I work with kids, right? So I see kids on a daily basis, and the way that they're interacting is completely different than how I interacted with my peers as a kid. They are so accepting, so loving. They ask each other questions. They understand differences. But also there are people like me in that world who get to challenge thought of, I don't understand why they're different. Well, everyone's different. And that's really okay, right? We all have differences. And if this person is different in that when they have big emotions, they need to express themselves this way, that's okay too. We're just going to understand how we can interact a little bit better. There's so many more opportunities for some of these social structures to be broken down that I do feel very optimistic for the future of the world, that people are going to have more opportunity to be open and free in expression. So long as, there's less of these laws being passed, like in the South, for trans people, for drag queens, for anybody who is non-conforming to any of these societal structures. So long as there's still freedom in it, I feel optimistic, but it's terrifying to watch it happen. And thank God I have freedom in Seattle, and I feel that. But
Isn't it so fascinating too that the people who had espoused ideals of freedom and liberty for so long are so terrified of people in dresses expressing themselves freely in one of the most just liberating. You'd think like that those folks would be the staunchest supporters of free speech, free expression, freedom in itself, and yet they spend hours and hours just running from their own internalized homophobia. Who even knows,
And low key, like founding fathers or whatever had fucking bows in their hair. They wore wigs. They were powdered.
Jesus basically wore a dress. Like, come on. Like, if we're really and they want to say that it's based on like religion, but it's like, okay, you're not being logical here. Their clothes don't have a gender. It's literally thread that we put together to protect our bodies from the harshness of the world and to protect our private parts. That's it. Why does it matter if there's a seam in the middle to separate the legs? Why does that matter for any reason? It doesn't. It's just this demonization of queer people and femininity.
I absolutely agree with that. And I remember the first time I went shopping for a dress. It was for a drag party that me and my friends were doing.
I remember this.
And I put on, I did go with somebody who was like really, I was like, I didn't want to go by myself. So I went with someone and they made me feel really comfortable about the whole situation. But I remember just walking around the store and it was just like, all of a sudden you're looking at clothes that like, you're like, okay, well, I guess all up until this point right now, I've never thought that, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever, put this on. But like now that you start looking at something, you're like, no, I feel like that speaks to me, right? And then you put it on and then you realize like, again, these are threads. this is a piece of clothing. This doesn't change anything about me. It just makes me feel some type of way, right? And I vividly remember turning to my friend and I go, this is literally a big t-shirt. Like, when you look at a dress, it's just an extended t-shirt. Like, obviously it's got frill and fun and all sorts of stuff. But from a structural standpoint, there's almost no difference in what the piece of clothing is on the boys' side or the girls' side. It's these small little details that have been elongated or accentuated, right? Like a crop top, like a sports bra is just a wife beater that's been cut off here. I mean, there is so little difference in when you actually take an objective look at the clothing, and it's just astounding how terrified people are of the thought of somebody putting on a piece of clothing that wasn't like inherently designed for them. It's just, it doesn't even, which is not even true. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And anyway, just thought I would share that little tidbit. But that was a big thing. I remember this like kind of aha moment for me, because I had at that time too, I was kind of wrestling with my non-binary identity, and like I think a part of me was afraid that like, okay, if I start dressing this way or if I start doing that, it's going to like all of a sudden I'm just going to go and snowball into, you know, full femme all the time. And I was like, in a way I was terrified of that, because at the time I was really self-conscious of that femininity. And like obviously I've grown a lot more, but when I started putting on the clothes, it wasn't terrifying. It was just this like, I'm looking in the mirror, I see this person that I still know and love, and like expressing themselves a different way, but not like, you know, it didn't change anything on the inside when I put something on the outside. It just allowed me to kind of tap into what was already there.
Yep. I still have my first dress, and I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it, because it's just like, that was a pivotal moment. And I think it is for a lot of people. And it's like, I finally have the freedom to express myself however I want, even if it's just in my bedroom. It's a powerful moment. And I hope you hold on to that thought, because I think that that's something you're going to just need in your memory bank.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's actually something I think about all the time, because now I'm very comfortable walking into the women's department and seeing like, hey, I know that'll look good on me. You know, it's like there are just things in either side of the aisle that I'm like, that's not going to look good on me, but that will. You know, it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's a boy's piece of clothing or a girl's piece of clothing. It's about the fit. It's about your unique body type and what you can put on to make that look good for you and make you feel like that person you're trying to portray, right? Like when we did was like the devil night for peer pressure.
The 7 Sins party.
Yeah, we did a 7 Deadly Sins party.
Fierce.
And I felt so darn sexy in this little tank crop top that Coco gave me. And that thing I looked so fierce in that, and it was like I could never find that in the boys section. Genuinely, it wasn't all that like of a crazy article of clothing. It was a sports bra. Like, let's be honest, it was essentially just a tank top that went and cut off like right underneath my chest, showed off my tummy, made my pecs look good. Like, you know, it's about finding articles of clothing that make you feel powerful and accentuate the things that you want to show off.
One of my biggest rules, and I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out who I am, what I like wearing, what my vibe is, and I found that I still don't really know, but I am having a really fun time figuring it out. But the main question I ask myself is like, would you as a teenager fucking die for this outfit? Or like you as a 7-year-old, like, does that version of you think this is cool? If the answer is yes, you leave the house. Because it's healing. You're healing your inner child. You're reparenting yourself.
Well, I would have never had the confidence to wear something like that without like heavily associating it with, oh my God, everyone's gonna think you're really gay. And now I'm like, great, I hope everyone thinks I'm really gay. Like I hope I'm attracting all these eyes. Like that's a plus now. And it's definitely just an evolution on the inside that gets to match the outside as well. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Have you ever been to therapy? Are you currently in therapy?
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing therapy basically right. Well, no, I started therapy a few years before I left the cult. And I'm sure that that was a big part in my evolution of like recognizing, oh, a lot of this is cult behavior. Because I do remember my first therapist that I saw. I was in my undergrad at Southern Oregon University, moved to Ashland, Oregon, because the church said, you're going to go help plant a church there. And I went there and I was seeing a therapist on campus. And there was a time where I ended up having to drop out of school because my roommate situation fell apart. And sorry, you can't live with somebody outside of the church. Nobody in the church right now wants to live with you. So you're just going to have to take some time off school until that's sorted out. Um, and I was talking to my therapist about that, and they're like, that's not okay. Nobody can tell you to do that. That's a bad idea. You have friends who you can ask to live with. And even if it was temporary, they will figure it, like, you got to at least explore all your options. And I didn't even realize that I was being controlled at that point. It was like, well, of course I have to, it was so deeply ingrained into me. But since then, I've pretty steadily been going to therapy. I have an anxiety disorder, so maintaining that, but also just like general mental health maintenance. That's kind of what it's turned into, because I go every other week now, which was a big move. I was meeting with this therapist and we were doing EMDR, which is a trauma-based therapy.
Yep.
I uncovered a lot of my trauma. I dug through a lot of it, pulled out of it. Um, and so much of my life changed through that experience. I'm a huge proponent of EMDR.
EMDR.
I also love EDM.
EMDR.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish there was more EDM involved. But it changed my life in so many ways that I didn't know that I needed. And I hope that anybody who has trauma is willing to try out EMDR. I didn't know that I couldn't sleep. I didn't realize that sleep was something that I struggled so heavily with until I did EMDR. And then it's like, oh, I fall asleep every night without concern. It just happens. Like, what a blessing. But then after we had finished our sessions and I'd worked through my trauma, then it was like, okay, we're going to see each other weekly just to do check-ins, make sure we're still good. And then we moved to every other week of like, no, I'm like pretty in control of my life. And I just need to make sure that we're doing okay. And that's what we've been on now, is we just meet every other week, which has been good.
I love that. What helps you to differentiate between normal feelings of disappointment and rejection and like the intrusive thoughts that are provided by those abandonment issues?
It's so hard. It is so hard because I've just seen a lot of loss in my life. And I wish that wasn't the case. It's just kind of here is where we're at. And I feel like I've had three big points of abandonment in my life that have fed into this story of no matter what I offer, it's just not enough. And, I think the not enoughness it is true for a lot of people. That's where their abandonment hits. And that's where I try to come back to is do I feel like I'm enough? Do I feel like I did enough? Something that I've always said to my students is that confidence is a decision. It's a decision to trust yourself and trust that you are doing the best that you can. Because if you did the best that you could, you should be confident. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. You couldn't have done better. You did the best that you possibly could. And you just have to believe that at all points. If you believe that you're a hard worker and that you put in everything that you had and you're trying your best at life, then you should be confident in what you're doing. You should be able to stand by your decisions, and then you should be able to learn along the way. And I hold that true. But there are a lot of times where the intrusive thoughts get to the point of like, no matter what you do, you'll never be enough. What's the point of trying? Why do you put any effort into trying to find goodness for yourself? Because you're never going to get there. Because these cycles of loss have just come back. It was the abandonment there. And then I had a very heavy falling out with my queer family in Bellingham through the pandemic, which was really, really hard because it's like I had reestablished this big queer community for myself. We called ourselves Bertha's Halfway House. I was the drag mother of a house. And the idea was I was finding these people who were kind of halfway through discovering themselves, and I was helping get them all the way. And I made this beautiful drag family, and they're still my family, but there was this point of falling out where I was in the pandemic. I was stuck in my parents' house during the pandemic, and I was just alone. It was just me and my parents all the time. And there's a lot of contention there, and I felt very alone. And then I finally started to rebuild community down here in Seattle, and I have a large community. But then this year, I experienced my first heartbreak for the first time, and it was sudden. I fell in love. It was so powerful, so passionate, so real. And then one day he just says, I got a job in Texas. I'm done. I'm out. And then disappeared. It was just done. And again, it's like, what more do I have to give to find this real connection? Because rejection just sucks. And there's just nothing you can do about it. Unfortunately, it's an aspect of human behavior is you're going to get rejected eventually. nowadays I really just try to be an evidence-based person of like, what evidence do I have that I didn't give enough? No, actually, I'm giving more than most people would. And I am a very high quality person who has a lot to offer. If that's not enough for people, then I can't do anything. Or I mean, I've done plenty. And, hopefully people will want that level of closeness and intimacy with me eventually. I do want to find people who I can call family. I want to find a partner that is my family. And I don't necessarily feel like I have family. I've got really good friends, really close friends. One day I hope to find that person or those people that are family. And in the meantime, we're just going to keep doing our best and, take people for what they can offer now. If it's not that family, and we're just going to take what we can get. And I've got a lot of connections and I have a lot of friends and I get to see people. And for now, that's okay. You just try to fight the thoughts as much as possible.
I went to my cousin's graduation this week and I had to write like a little piece of advice for them.
Yeah.
And I think what I wrote down was I literally wrote, just be yourself. You'll attract your chosen family. So I would, pass that on to you. And I think that as well. But sometimes, it just takes time, but just keep doing you and everything that's meant for you will come. And yeah.
I fully believe that too.
I believe that. But I, something that I also say in therapy a lot, because my therapist has continued to challenge this idea after the breakup. I was like, I don't know that that's coming anytime soon. It's like, do you really believe you're never going to find that? I'm like, I don't know, never. But those connections are really special. Mm-hmm. And I think it's disingenuine to say that it's not rare. Like it is rare to find those really good, deep, beautiful connections. I'm not going to expect that it's right around the corner. It's going to show up when the time is right. I need to understand how to be able to cope while I'm waiting, while I'm figuring out how things come. And I try to be a realist in that. Like, okay, right now I've got one person that I consider family outside of my immediate family, which I'm very, very close with my parents and with my brothers. Outside of that, I've got one person who I consider chosen family. I've got some best friends. And, maybe soon there's going to be somebody who I really can let it all hang out in front of, and it will be okay. And in the meantime, we're just gonna keep going and try to remain optimistic that it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, you're part of the Coco Show family now, and we love you.
Yes.
So
I'm so happy to be here. I feel really good to be here.
You're in the Coco Coven, certainly.
The Coco Coven. TM.
I feel it. Yeah.
Can we put that on a t-shirt?
Let's.
Please. Oh my God, I'm gonna go get a tattoo tomorrow.
Amazing. Love that. All right, y'all. Well, this was a very, very special episode. I am sure we will have you back because we did not get to enough. But next time we are in the studio, we may be chatting with our darling Matthew Jem again. And if not, we are going to do another solo episode because I just bought another question deck from We're Not Really Strangers. So
Bless.
We'll have some fun with that regardless. And as always, you can find us on social at The Coco Show Pod on all social medias and thecocoshow.com to listen to all episodes and buy merch, which we have new merch. Again, P.S. email us your ye fucking haws to thecocosshowpod@gmail.com. As always,
we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.